Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. Please take your seats and silence all electronic devices. You know me.
I'm the judge executive too for no, Mead. Yeah, Mead County. So come on down.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony is about to begin. Please rise for the official party and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem and the invocation by Reverend Lewis.
First, I'd like to say it is an honor to be with all of you today, and especially my son, Thomas Benjamin. Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for the blessings upon the lives of these men and women and for your sovereign hand in guiding them to this great day. Equip these soldiers with a strong character and determination to reflect loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Give these officers vigilance in peace and victory in battle as they protect and defend the United States of America. And also when they hear the call to establish freedom and justice among the nations. I pray this in the strong name of your Son and my Savior. Amen.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Good evening, family, honored guests, friends, and most importantly, our ROTC Spring 2024 commissionees. My name is Cadet Roberts, and on behalf of Major General Antonio Munera, the Commanding General of the United States Army Cadet Command, welcome to the Spring 2024 UK Army ROTC commissioning ceremony. This ceremony marks the culmination of years of academic, military, and physical training for the cadets seated before you today. The Reserve Officer Training Corps has served as a test of their leadership ability and their potential to serve as commissioned officers. They have successfully emerged from this challenge confident in their ability to assume the tremendous responsibility awaiting them as officers in the United States Army. The commissioning ceremony will consist of 4 parts. First, the reading of the oath of office. Doctors, lawyers, public officials, and our military are some of the few professions that take such an oath. Second, the pinning of the gold bars. These bars represent the rank of officer and the honor of the recipient to hold a commission by the Congress of the United States. Third, the first salute. The first salute of a newly commissioned officer involving a silver dollar is a time-honored tradition dating back to pre-revolutionary times. It is symbolic of the respect due to the lieutenant's newly earned rank and position. The coin represents more than $1 in currency. To every new officer, it has special meaning. It signifies the officer's deep sense of gratitude for the knowledge enlisted soldiers, especially non-commissioned officers, have passed on to them during training. Finally, the presentation of the commission certificate to the new second lieutenants. This certificate signifies not only a cadet's promotion to second lieutenant, but more so, their status as an officer in the armed forces. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the official party for today's ceremony, Major General Troy Koch. Our honored guest speaker for today, Lieutenant Colonel Alan Overmeyer, Professor of Military Science for the University of Kentucky's Army ROTC Battalion, and Master Sergeant Holloway, Senior Military Instructor. It is now my honor to introduce the Professor of Military Science, Lieutenant Colonel Alan Overmeyer.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for coming out today. I know for you AAR comments from the last time, we had to deconflict this from Derby. So show of hands, who's actually going to the Derby tomorrow? All right, great. So we learned something, proof that the Army learned something. Don't know if you knew this or not, but if there's anybody that could not attend, we are currently live streaming. So hopefully within the text message or group chat network, we've got that link out to everybody. So if there's anybody, grandma, grandpas, aunts, uncles, friends, sisters, anybody abroad, we are live streaming this, and we'll have a copy of it for later, that if anybody wanted to see their soon-to-be second lieutenant commission, trying to make this special for the entire Wildcat Army ROTC Battalion family, and future paying it forward for the Army family. So as our MC said, yes, this is our 2024 May commissioning of the Army ROTC class for this semester. It is my esteemed privilege to welcome you all here. So it's just, as I keep looking out there, the crowd keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So still in a couple years, we got to fill this room even more. But sir, Mayor Gorton, General Gorton, thanks again for coming out today. General Koch, I appreciate you sharing a few words with us here later. Colonel Beazle, thank you for everything that you've done sir. I appreciate it. From one service member to another, all of us, what you've done for us and everyone else to pay it forward, what we could do, it hails in comparison to what you've done for all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, a World War II veteran and a grandfather for one of our esteemed commissionees, can we give a round of applause for Colonel Beaver? Sir, I don't know if I'll be able to wear this uniform when I get around to your carbon dating, so thank you for what you've done. My hat's off to you, sir. All right. I'm going to buy you a beer later. How about that? Or bourbon, whatever your choice is. So the rest of the family, thanks again for coming out. That's just one of the special things to try to make this an actual great family event. Sir, you're going to come forward and take the oath a little bit here with your grandson. We had a father administer the invocation with his son in the presence tonight, about ready to commission. That's just one of the few things we like to do here within the Wildcat Battalion to show that, yes, the Army is a family. The Wildcat Battalion is a family. We take care of our own, we take care of our others, and what we're doing here for the 3s, 2s, and 1s, for God willing, any seniors in high school that are at home watching this or wanting to have a choice to serve within the military, this is our job to pay it forward for all those that have served, continue to serve, or are willing to serve in the future. This morning, I had the great privilege to be at the nurse pinning and convocation ceremony, and they do a phenomenal job, and something that I'm going to steal from Dean Manus, probably one of our best partners here at the University of Kentucky, just talking about family once again. So if I could ask for some audience participation, continuing getting on the 1% family business, any of you that have served previously or continuing to serve related to these wonderful, fine Americans up here, please stand up. I think all of you deserve a round of applause. And then with that, if there's any other generations of graduates, any other Wildcats out there, if you hold a degree, whether it be baccalaureate, master's, doctorate from the University of Kentucky, why don't you stand up to be recognized? Go Cats. I'm not going to have Birondelli come up here and give the Go Cats cheer. He'll probably do that at 10 Keys or 2 Roofs later. I actually know those, so as I'm trying to, at halftime of my tenure here as a professor of military science, I have been to those 2 establishments. Cadets were not there, don't worry about it. So trying to walk a little bit in what the cadets had to do, and if I had to do this all over again, I don't know if I would be capable of doing it, what they have to go through, whether it be neuroscience, nursing, engineering, etc., and put all the demands that some old-timer puts on them to do ROTC. So those of you who are about ready to commission, I've said thank you to your friends and family, but thank you for what you have done, paying it forward for the underclassmen and what you're about ready to do to pay it forward for the soldiers that are going to have the honor and privilege to serve underneath you. So for our future lieutenants, another round of applause. And as the last time I'll do this remarks with Hatch out there evaluating me, I just wanted to show that there's actually nothing written here in front of me. This is 100% not brought to you by ChatGPT. He still thinks I write everything down via AI, but this is 100% from the heart today because I want to make sure that these young lieutenants that we're about ready to commission know truly what the family is and anything that we want to do. Look at all these great family members here. I'm going to say family at least 17 more times throughout this day, but if you hadn't figured it out, we have a few general officers here, and General Wurtzler, thank you again for coming. Our partnership with the Kentucky National Guard couldn't be stronger, and looking forward to making it even stronger for the classes above beyond this. So, sir, thank you for your attendance today. But there is another esteemed general officer in our midst today, General Koch, who is our esteemed colleague, peer, mentor, and absolute steward of the profession. We asked for him to come out today to show a few words with you. So I get the esteemed pleasure to introducing him and bringing him up to the program. So number one, the things that we have in common, We both have aviator wings on our chest. Theme 1. Anybody know how if you'll know if there's an Apache pilot in the room? They'll tell you. I'm one, he's one too. All right, 2 things in common. We don't get to share the same rank or paycheck, but that's all right. But General Koch served in various capacities throughout his time as a military officer, serving in every leadership position from a platoon leader up to a commanding general, latest position actually representing the Army Reserve as our Army Reserve ambassador, and currently serving as an executive judge for Meade County. A theme is it continuing to serve. That's what servant leaders do. He's done it as a regular officer, general officer, and continues to do it in a civilian in his capacities today, a true steward of the profession. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you our guest speaker, General Koch.
So I just said aviation all the way, Hua. How many aviators I got over here?
We're working on
0 out of we don't have an aviator in 26 commissionees.
That's why we had to bring you out, sir.
That's got to be a first. That's got to be a first ever. Aviation must be really dropping. I don't know. Well, hey, it is a privilege and it is an honor to be here today to talk to you all. Yes, you, but also to our families. And this is such a. I love doing commissionings, and I'll tell you the reason why. And I know, Colonel, you know exactly where I'm talking about. It brings you right back to the beginning. You know, it brings it back to right where you started from. You know, and you know what I didn't know is everything that I know today. You know, it was. I remember that commissioning ceremony. Well, first I remember when I got into the Army in 1982, a few years after you did, sir, and I came in as a private, and I learned a lot of things that they taught me as a young private: standards, discipline, and all those played into my career later on. You know, as I became a commissioned officer, I used those things that those drill sergeants drilled into us, and I continue to use those throughout my career. And I believe that those disciplines that I learned as a young private made a big difference. It kept me grounded. It kept me where I needed to be. It allowed me also to understand what stupid was. Okay, you know, there's nothing like standing out. You know, you're standing out in the middle of nowhere, and there's a tree over there, and the only reason why we're standing out there is because we were told to stand out there instead of somebody making the decision to go over and go underneath the tree. And so, again, there's common sense that applies in with leadership, too. So, you know, it's I retired at 37 and a half years in December of 19. And it was a very somber moment. I'd done this for most of my life. And I reflect back to, again, that day when I was commissioned as a second lieutenant at University of Central Missouri State and where I was going to go. And I had no idea. Okay, I was a 20-year-old lieutenant. Again, I'd been through basic training. I was in the Army Reserve. By the way, it was the Cold War. The only time we were going to be used was for the big one. And so that was my expectations of what a lieutenant, you know, kind of was going to do. I had another 2 more years before I had to graduate. And so I continued my education, which was truly important because it couldn't have been a lieutenant if I didn't graduate. You guys have succeeded in that. That's a good thing because I think most of you got your diplomas already, correct? Good deal. So we don't have to go back now. So, you know, I had to complete college. And, you know, with that completion of college, I managed to go ahead and do branch transfer into aviation. And that was where it started. Still didn't know where I was going. Didn't have a job. You know, it was all those uncertainties of life. And some of you are going to go active duty, and other ones are going to be in the reserve component, Army Reserve, and some will be in the Army National Guard. And what I will tell you, though, is that all of those are relevant. You know, our Army needs all 3 of those components in order to do the job that we do, in order to protect our country from those that would see fit for us not to exist. And so I start off on this journey, okay, of that being that lieutenant. And, you know, one of the things that was truly important to me, and the Army has come up with these things called values, the Army values. And it's duty, honor, integrity, loyalty, respect, personal courage, selfless service. And all of those apply. Now, I'll tell you that when I got into the Army, okay, in 1982, and when I was commissioned in 1984, the Army wasn't quite the same way then. We were rolling off of Vietnam. And, you know, there was a saying, you know, an officer's word is his bond. Yet when I got in, there was a lot of things that our officers were doing that wasn't exactly the examples. And I wasn't really proud of that. But our Army has become more professional. You know, from that time, I've watched our Army do things that I never even dreamed. As I said, I was in the Cold War, okay? Well, since that Cold War, there's been 7 substantial conflicts that went on in my 37 years of service. And some of those were Panama, some of those were Iraq, Afghanistan, twice in Iraq. We had Haiti, we had Bosnia. There was a lot of different conflicts that went on that I didn't see when I was that lieutenant, when I was freshly brand new commissioned. And so the reason why I bring up those 7 Army values is that if we follow those values to the best of our ability, we're going to do good things. Selfless service is one of those. You know, I learned how not to talk in I, but I learned to talk in we. Remember I told you about standing out in the middle of nowhere when there's a tree. Again, taking care of your soldiers and being part of what they do will earn you the respect. Yes, they've got to salute you as a lieutenant, but they don't have to respect you. And you'll learn as a lieutenant that there's times when you've got to do your job, and there's times to roll up your sleeves and get involved with your soldiers. And what I found is when you get involved with your soldiers, they'll respect you more than you can ever imagine. They'll follow you to the ends of the earth because they know you care. And they know that you're not thinking that you're better than them. And that's a big difference. You know, arrogance has no place in being a part of commissioning. It's just a rank. What you are expected to do is be technically proficient. And that's where you become a master of your craft. Whatever branch you're in, as a lieutenant, you need to become the best you can. And we do that through being a platoon leader, through being an XO, company command, and so on. But you dig into that craft. You understand your craft, your specifics. And your soldiers will add on to that. Another thing I learned, and I will always put this out, because I've said this all the way through the time, I would still say it today. All I want is your best. Okay, and what do I mean by that? You ever hear somebody say, I want 150% from you? Well, if you divide 150 into 1,000, it's pretty low. Because there is no thing as 150% of 100, is there? So again, let's put it into perspective. You know, everybody's day is going to be different, okay? We're not all on the same plateau, okay? But one of the things I found is that if I answer to myself, and how do I do that? You know, when I look in the mirror, okay, and I ask this question, have I done my best today? Have I given it my all? I'm the only one that can answer that question. And if I answer no, then I'm the only one that needs to pick it up. And as a lieutenant, you know, as an officer in the United States Army, consistently evaluate yourself in that realm. Have I given it my best? That's all I can ask from anyone. You can never ask for more than you can give, whatever that is. But I will tell you that that guiding force has led me a long ways in my life. And the bottom line is I'm the only one that can answer that question. Another one, again, we talked about profession of arms, being tactically and technically proficient. That allows us to know our craft. And then we add in our leadership, which, oh, by the way, you all are going to learn. You think you're good leaders right now, right? Yeah, come on. You've been through 4 years of ROTC, right? Yeah. Well, your leadership is going to change. And what I'll tell you is that, it's really easy, and Gordon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's really easy to figure out when people do things bad, it's really easy to find out what I don't want to do. Okay, because they have something, negative consequences that happen. So those are really easy ways to find out what I don't want to be. But it's always a little harder to find out and evaluate the leaders that I like. What are they doing right? How are they getting their soldiers' attention? Why are the soldiers following? What makes them so effective? What makes them efficient? And the reason why I bring all that up, and there's no pat answer, but what you do is you evaluate those leaders wherever they're at. They may be at the company level. It may be your first company commander. It may be a battalion commander. It may be a staff officer. But you'll know excellence when you see it. You'll know excellence because that excellence will give you the ability to be the leader you need to be and give you the latitudes you need to do to perform. Okay, without telling you exactly what to do. All right? Now, when you do those evaluations, what I will tell you is that as you try them, they may or may not work for you. You'll need to adapt them to your own personality and then drive it on. This is one I really like. Trust your NCOs. Now, I told you I came in as a private, and I was also a cadet. Yes, I was a cadet. And the program that I was in a quartermaster unit, and, my major didn't quite know what to do with a cadet. So he would tell me to go over and be in a corner, okay, and go find something to do. Every drill weekend I went up. And so anyway, I started hooking up with these guys called NCOs. And of course, at a battalion level, they were all master sergeants. They were masters of their craft. It falls back into technical proficiency. And I acted kind of as a gopher. They would tell me what to do, and I would do it, and I learned from that. What I also learned, though, is that those NCOs knew a whole lot of stuff. But one of the things I had to do is I had to drop my arrogance, because remember, even as a cadet, I still outranked them. I had to drop my arrogance and I had to ask, will you help me? Hey, Sergeant, what do you think we should do? Remember, you as a leader are responsible for the right or wrong, but it doesn't mean you have to come up with the answer all by yourself. And what I found is those old crusty NCOs, and I had great ones like Sergeant First Class Fiedler. He took me under his wing, and I was his lieutenant. And let me tell you something. Nobody screwed with Sergeant Fiedler's lieutenant, not even Major Zelch, my XO, because I was Sergeant Fiedler's responsibility, and that's exactly the way that NCO looked at it. And he taught me everything I needed to know about being a good logistician. And he was technically and tactically proficient. He knew the regs like the back of his hand. But he also knew the difference between common sense and stupidity. And Sergeant Fiedler would often tell me, sir, in all due respect, I don't think this is a good idea. That's not quite what he said. And there was a lot more colorful language. But I will tell you that I listened, and we always got a great outcome. And yet at the end of the day, Sergeant Fiedler kept me out of that. I also had other great lessons from my XO, Major Zelch. And I remember Major Zelch telling me something, because there was a lot of things that used to irritate me about things that were right and wrong, things that I wanted to correct. And he said to me, Troy, I said, this is the way it's going to work. You're not in a position where you can really make a difference. You're an S4, okay? One of these days, though, you're going to be in command. And when you're in command, I want you to take all those things that irritated you, and I want you to put it in your kit bag. And when you get into a position where you can make a change, that's when you do it. When you have the greatest effect. And I did that. You know, and we know how reserve drills and all that other, you know, hokey-dokey stuff, blah, 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 down the line. And you know, in my first command, what I did was I brought it all back to when I was a private. Again, there was nothing wrong with an NCO coming to parade rest in the hall for another NCO of senior rank. There was nothing wrong with everybody wearing their dog tags, which was a part of their uniform. There was nothing wrong with soldiers needing to report appropriately, which they all had learned. And there was nothing wrong with soldiers that did what they were supposed to do. And the reason why I bring that up is because it's so easy for us to change the standard. You may not think you have a lot of authority, but I will tell you that you can change a standard like that. And the story I'm going to tell you is like this. Now, again, I was a young private, and I was scared. Now, you know, if you haven't been through boot camp, you don't know about lieutenants. Okay, lieutenants are the worst feared thing that a young private could ever run into because they're going to screw with them. I mean, that's what the drill sergeants tell you. So anyway, I never seen a lieutenant when I was in basic training. Thank God. Sergeant majors were pretty bad too, but lieutenants were really bad. So anyway, so I get out of basic training and I show up to my first unit and I find it as a reserve unit at Richard Gebauer Air Force Base. And I get out, and of course, my drill sergeants also told me something. They said, always report in your Class A uniform. Why? Because impressions are lasting. And if you want to be treated like a professional, you need to act like a professional. And you always want to put your best on when you show up. And I never forgot that. So needless to say, Private Coke is in his dress green uniform. I'm looking as sharp as I can. I don't have a ribbon to my name. I don't even have any rank, okay, because I hadn't made private first class. So here I come, and oh my God, what do I see? That's a lieutenant colonel in the parking lot coming my way. Oh my God, what do I do? So, you know, first thing, I could duck behind this car. Okay, I could get back in my car. Nope, you know what? My drill sergeant taught me what to do. I can do this. So I take off and I beeline. Again, I know which way to pass on his left. You know, I'm going to pull out that salute so many steps before him. I know exactly, I've got this. I was trained to do this correctly. And here I come. He's coming down, and I'm coming down, and I got my hat, and I go, "Good morning, sir." Good salute. Continue to walk. Don't drop your salute until he's saluted and he's passed you, right? And this lieutenant colonel says, "We don't do that here." Right? Kind of took you by surprise, didn't it? Well, how do you think the young private felt? Everything I've been trained had been thrown away by one person. Because if you don't salute when you're undercover in the middle of a parking lot, then when do you salute? I don't know. It's a question mark. And oh, by the way, the next time if I didn't salute, somebody would chew my butt, probably a lieutenant. You follow what I'm saying? Again, good discipline in the Army provides great results. Don't reduce the standards because it's easier. Continue the standards because they'll get you the results of your soldiers when it really counts. That's the key. Most importantly, and I'll save this for last, is never forget your family. You could finish a great career, and if you leave your family behind, you may be retiring without a family. And I've watched it over and over and over again. Now, don't get me wrong. I wear a uniform, and I wore a uniform to serve my country when my country called. But I've always kept my family involved in everything that I ever did. Every decision that I made, wherever I went to, I brought my wife in, I brought my kids in, and I let them know what the assignment was that Daddy was going to go on. You know, when I deployed, I maintained that contact. You know, we are a little bit different than letters, but the bottom line is that contact means a lot. And my family has always been behind me. My family has always supported me with whatever I did. And I will tell you that what I didn't realize, as hard as I had it, how hard my wife had it when I was deployed. Because Dad wasn't there anymore. So everything that I did, my wife now had to do. And that included raising 3 kids. That included when my son was going through puberty, she had to kind of help him at the birds and the bees. A little uncomfortable, but Mom handled it quite well. He's now a captain in the Army. Aviator, by the way. And a graduate from the University of Kentucky, ROTC. But anyway, in all seriousness, always keep your family involved. And by the way, your family isn't just a wife. Your family's not just your children. Your family is your mom and your dad. Everybody that's got you here is your family, even your friends. They will be behind you, they will support you, and they will love you when nobody else can, and never leave them behind. So in closing, congratulations! You're on your way. This is only a beginning. The last thing I'm going to tell you is, I know I'm a general officer. I never, ever dreamed that it was ever going to happen. Don't battle for your next OER. Just do what's right. Do your best, and it's all going to work out, okay? I can't stress that enough. If you do your best, everything will work out the way it's supposed to. It's when we cheat ourselves that we have problems. So with that, thank you so very much. Congratulations to everyone. Round of applause.
Thank you very much, sir, for that amazing speech. Class of 2024, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer will now administer the oath of office to the 2024 Spring Commissioning Class.
I state
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the nation's newest second lieutenants will now receive their gold bars, signifying the rank of second lieutenant. Following the pinning, the second lieutenant will receive their first salute. Second Lieutenant Audrey Pelster is from Lexington, Kentucky. She is graduating with a degree in neuroscience. She is branching medical services in the Kentucky National Guard. Her bars will be pinned by Hunter Colson. Her first salute will now be rendered by Master Sergeant James Holloway. Second Lieutenant Pelster will now receive her commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Audrey Pelster. Second Lieutenant Olivia Rayborn is from Versailles, Kentucky. She is graduating with a degree in public policy. She is branching field artillery in the Kentucky National Guard. Her bars will be pinned on by her grandfather, Jim Radcliffe. Her first salute will be rendered by her grandfather, Jim Radcliffe. Second Lieutenant Rayborn will now receive her commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Olivia Rayborn. Second Lieutenant Hank Bernadelli is from Lexington, Kentucky. He is graduating with a degree in communications. He is going active duty adjutant general with a branch detail of infantry. His bars will be pinned by his parents, Sean and Jay. His first salute will be rendered by Sergeant First Class Heater. Second Lieutenant Bernadelli will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Hank Bernardelli. Second Lieutenant Megan Bakoe is from Marengo, Illinois. She is graduating with a degree in nursing. She is branching chemical in the National Guard. Her bars will be pinned on by Amy and Nick Bakoe. Her first salute will be rendered by Staff Sergeant Robert Pittman. Second Lieutenant Bakoe will now receive her commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Megan Bakoe. Second Lieutenant Theodore Bruns is from Cox Creek, Kentucky. He is graduating with a biology degree. His bars will be pinned on by his mother and grandfather. His first salute will be rendered by Sergeant First Class Robert Heater. Second Lieutenant Bruns will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Theodore Bruns. Second Lieutenant Isabel Chapman is from Fort Wright, Kentucky. She is graduating with a nursing degree and branching nursing in the Army Reserves. Her bars will be pinned on by her mother and aunt. Her first salute will be rendered by Specialist Emily Kunkel. Second Lieutenant Chapman will now receive her commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer.
Deacon, another piece of hardware for you. Cadet Pelster earned this too, but the reason why we had a couple leave, they've got an 1800 commencement ceremony. But we're also here to give Cadet, now Lieutenant Chapman, her distinguished military graduate for finishing in the top 10% nationally of all cadets in Cadet Command.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Isabel Chapman. Second Lieutenant James Cochran is from Franklin, Tennessee. He is graduating with a degree in Information Communication Technology. He is branching armor in the National Guard, and his bars will be pinned on by Kevin and Stephanie Cochran. His first salute will be rendered by Sergeant First Class Robert Heater. Second Lieutenant Cochran will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant James Cochran. Second Lieutenant William Cox is from Cincinnati, Ohio. He is graduating with a degree in Community and Leadership Development. He is branching active duty armor, and his bars will be pinned on by his parents, Tony and Elizabeth Cox. His first salute will be rendered by Sergeant First Class Heater. Second Lieutenant Cox will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer.
What do you want? There you go. He paid you. Might as well get your money's worth for that photo. Come on in, Dad, right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant William Cox. Second Lieutenant Lauren Gentile is from Louisville, Kentucky. She is graduating with a degree in sports communication. She is branching field artillery in the Kentucky National Guard. Her bars will be pinned on by her parents, Tony and Julie Gentile. Her first salute will be rendered by Sergeant First Class Corey McDine. Second Lieutenant Gentile will now receive her commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Lauren Gentile. Second Lieutenant Christian Guerrero is from Lexington, Kentucky. He is graduating with a degree in clinical leadership and management. He is branching active duty quartermaster corps, and his bars will be pinned on by Rebecca Guerrero.
We got Mom and Dad here with us now. Go ahead, sir. Approved.
His first salute will be rendered by Sergeant Ben Guerrero. Second Lieutenant Guerrero will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Christian Guerrero. Second Lieutenant Henry Holthouse is from Lexington, Kentucky. He is graduating with a degree in business marketing with a minor in analytics. He is branching active duty infantry, and his bars will be pinned on by his parents and sister, Helen Holthouse. His first salute will be rendered by Sergeant First Class Jonathan Centers. Second Lieutenant Holthouse will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Henry Holthouse. Second Lieutenant Isaac Kaiser is from Bardstown, Kentucky. He is graduating with a degree in political science and history. He is branching active duty military intelligence with a branch detail of infantry. His bars will be pinned on by Nathan and Natalie Kaiser. His first salute will be rendered by Senior Airman Gray Clark. Second Lieutenant Kaiser will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer.
One more piece of hardware. This is our second distinguished military graduate for finishing within the top 10% nationally. I'm going to let you know for Kaiser and everybody else, and then I owe it to Chapman too, perfect 4.0 GPA. Within the College of Nursing. Stay right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Isaac Kaiser. Second Lieutenant Thomas Lewis is from Wilmore, Kentucky. He is graduating with a degree in Community and Leadership Development. He is branching engineering in the Army Reserves, and his bars will be pinned on by Paul Lewis and Mandy Snell.
Just gotta remember Tom is tall. Paul. See, same smile even too.
His first salute will be rendered by Specialist Jeff Snell. Second Lieutenant Lewis will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Thomas Lewis. Second Lieutenant Carter Miller is from Woodstock, Illinois. He is graduating with a degree in Spanish. He is branching field artillery in the Illinois National Guard, and his bars will be pinned on by his parents. His first salute will be rendered by Master Sergeant James Holloway. Second Lieutenant Miller will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer.
Yeah. Ready? Still filming? And then another distinguished military graduate right here.
So we're going more on now.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Carter Miller. Second Lieutenant Ethan Morrow is from Monticello, Kentucky. He is graduating with a degree in community leadership development. He is branching active duty ordnance, and his bars will be pinned on by Trent and Rose Morrow. His first salute will be rendered by Sergeant Larry Morrow. Second Lieutenant Morrow will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Ethan Morrow. Second Lieutenant Alexander Patton is from Parksville, Kentucky. He is graduating with a degree in business management. He is branching active duty armor, and his bars will be pinned on by his mother and girlfriend. His first salute will be rendered by retired specialist Freeland Patton. Second Lieutenant Patton will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Alexander Patton. Second Lieutenant Nicholas Rosano is from San Antonio, Texas. He is graduating with a degree in Human Health Science on a pre-PT track. He is branching active duty explosive ordnance disposal, and his bars will be pinned on by Paul and Tracy Rosano. His first salute will be rendered by Corporal Rosano and Staff Sergeant Rosano. Second Lieutenant Rosano will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer.
And yet another distinguished military graduate.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Nicholas Rosano. Second Lieutenant Savannah Schwartz is from Victorville, California. She is graduating with a degree in nursing. She is branching nursing in the National Guard. Her bars will be pinned on by her parents, Philip and Kimberly Rimley. Her first salute will be rendered by her grandfather, retired Staff Sergeant Robert Rimley. Second Lieutenant Schwartz will now receive her commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Savannah Schwartz. Second Lieutenant Sahil Shah is from Louisville, Kentucky. He is graduating with a degree in kinesiology and exercise science. He is branching military intelligence in the Kentucky National Guard, and his bars will be pinned on by his father, Ashish Shah. His first salute will be rendered by Sergeant Kyler Parr. Second Lieutenant Shah will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Sahil Shah. Second Lieutenant Andrew Maloney is from Lexington, Kentucky. He is graduating with degrees in neuroscience and biology. He is branching infantry in the Kentucky National Guard, and his bars will be pinned on by his father, Phil Maloney. His first salute will be rendered by Master Sergeant James Holloway. Second Lieutenant Maloney will now receive his commissioning certificate from Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Second Lieutenant Andrew Maloney. Please join me in a round of applause for our nation's newest second lieutenants. At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Overmeyer would like to present a special gift to our guest speaker.
Sir, I know hopefully Coach Stoops isn't watching, but since we just hired a new basketball coach, is that maybe I'll give you an IOU and get Coach Pope to sign this. But as a current general officer, there might be another general officer out there, as you said in your remarks. But every member, I think, minus one of the commissioning class, because he had to come from his other commencement ceremony. But for you, as a UK basketball school, go Cats, we want to present to you this autograph ball from every member of the commissioning class today. Sir, thank you so much for your words. And Birindelli, go Cats, right? Go Cats. Hey, I kind of threw the MC for a loop there because I kind of came up here to steal the podium away from him, but it's kind of my prerogative as the professor of military science. I just want to say, sir, thank you again for your words today. Profound, and hopefully they took a lot of things, because, you know, writing mental notes down is that you don't get to have a commencement speech from somebody that served in many walks of life. So again, sir, thank you very much for your remarks today. I have one more special presentation for you. Sir, if you mind coming forward. Sir, the podium is yours. I think you wanted to make a special presentation to our commissionees.
Oh, I do, yes,
Yeah.
okay. This is a surprise. One thing I learned in the Army, be flexible. I have something to give to each of you. You just sworn to support and defend the Constitution, so I have a copy of the Constitution, pocket size, for all of you. Have it available and read it. It's extremely important. Also, another set of gold bars, because you know you need more than one. And a key lesson that I learned in my time is you have to have a plan. It's good to have a plan. Listen to when people want you to do something else, do it. You have an interview for something that you didn't think you wanted to do, take the interview. If they offer you the job, take the job, because you never know. You never know what's on the other side of that door. The Army knows what's best for you, and sometimes the universe is telling you, pay attention. Can you hear me now? Congratulations. It is so heartwarming every year when I come in and I see new lieutenants come into the Army, and I just can't wait to see what happens to your lives. So thank you for your attention. I look forward to seeing you at the reception when I give you the awards. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we've harped on family quite a bit, and I just wanted to take the time to thank a special member of the Wildcat family, the Army ROTC family. So in 2023, it would have been the 20-year anniversary for Lieutenant Graham to commission. And here it is being 2024. This will be the 20th year of the anniversary of Lieutenant Graham being killed in action. Not to end this wonderful ceremony on that note, but I just want you to remember what we are all being called to do. Remember the Graham name, a lieutenant that's gone before you, paid it forward, gave the ultimate sacrifice. With this being the 20-year anniversary to that, I want to lift up the Graham family and say thank you for the service that they did for the Wildcats and to the United States of America. So if you give a brief moment of silence for Lieutenant Jeff Graham. Thank you. Now, the reason why I do that, we always like to remember anniversaries. You're going to look back at this at the first year anniversary. You might be graduating Bullock 10th year, you might be just found out you're being promoted to major. 20th year anniversary, you might find out, hey, it's time for retiring. But always look back and reflect on today. Reflect on family, reflect on others, and by God, do great things for the Army. We got a couple things left before we culminate for the day, because I know who's excited that the bar's open downstairs. I know the lieutenants are. All right. So I know the color guard's standing back there ready to go. So how about we all please rise for a rousing rendition of the Army song? And then as soon as we're done, let's go ahead and retire the colors.
March along, sing a song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. When it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cages loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Retire the colors.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for your attendance. Please join us for a short reception to congratulate our newest second lieutenants and enjoy some refreshments.
Hey, before you all leave, we got more gifts for you. Your commissioning packet and photographs. So before you leave, don't forget that they're up here.